Welcome back to part 2 of my Alliance level 1 to 60 Classic WoW leveling guide. We left off part 1 at level 12 entering the Deeprun tram, so right away we're going to park our butts in the middle of the tram and just wait for the next ride to get to the Ironforge side of the tram. Once we arrive on the other side, in the middle we'll find the quest Deeprun Rat Roundup. Take the quest, then put the quest flute that you get on a hotkey and just run around the tram using it on rat critters you see roaming around the tram until you have all 5 that you need for the quest. Turn in the quest, but don't accept the follow-up just yet, and continue out of the tram into Ironforge. In Ironforge, we want to run to the Great Forge to grab the flight path, and note that the Herbalism and First Aid Trainer in Ironforge are in the same building right next to the flight path here. So if you're above 50 Herbalism, you can train it. Otherwise, once you have the flight path, continue to the Commons on the northwest side, head into the tavern, and set Ironforge as your Hearthstone.
What can I get for you today?
Once that's done, run out of Ironforge into Dun Morogh. In Dun Morogh, we're going to run east along the road roughly. Now, as we start this next section of the guide, we have 3 hard profession objectives. We want to reach at least 50 Herbalism, 50 First Aid, and 50 Cooking. None of these goals should be particularly hard to reach, but Herbalism, so go out of your way for herbs if you can. We want to reach 50 as soon as possible to unlock Mage Royal before we move out of these dwarven zones. So continue to herb it up until you get far enough east to reach the Gol Bolar Quarry. Head south into the quarry and accept the 2 quests here. The Public Servant, and those blasted Trogs.
How are ya?
Then, head inside the quarry and start killing the Trogs in the inside of the northern cave until you complete both quests. It's during these quests that you're going to be introduced to a new mechanic that it's important you master very quickly in Classic WoW: fleeing mobs. As a warrior, you'll often find yourself the tank in dungeons, and while solo, you'll have primary aggro on targets as well, so many humanoid type monsters, when they get low HP, they will attempt to flee and grab more enemies. This is particularly deadly in World of Warcraft Classic because individual mob strength is much higher than currently in retail, so extra mobs can easily lead to your death. Luckily, you can control this mechanic quite easily as a warrior. The first step is obviously to keep the enemy hamstrung so that when it flees, it runs slowly. Rend also helps in killing the mob while it runs, but this oftentimes isn't enough. The second step you can take when you know mobs flee is to pull them away from potential allies. The third and most effective step you'll want to master for this guide is to position yourself between the target you are killing and its allies. A fleeing humanoid monster will always run away from whoever has the highest threat. So wherever you are standing, the fleeing mob will run as far from you as possible. So if you always position yourself between the monster and the direction you don't want it to flee, it will flee away from its allies in the other direction, ideally to locations clear of mobs. This is a habit you need to drill into your playstyle very early on, especially if you plan on playing as a tank at max level. Classic does a great job of teaching you the importance of basic mechanics early on, and this is one of them. In these crowded caves like the quarry, a fleeing mob in the wrong direction can easily lead to 2 to 3 additional targets and get you killed. So if you find yourself forgetting to deal with the fleeing humanoids, consider slapping a sticky note on your monitor or something, because nothing is more frustrating than dying to this stuff when it's so easily preventable. Either way, once you've completed the Public Servant and those blasted Trogs, Head back out of the quarry and turn them in.
What's on your mind? What can I do for you?
Find the vendor on the northern tents to clean up your bags a bit and buy a stack of food if you don't have any.
What's on your mind?
Then continue east on the road until you reach the fork heading north and south. At the fork, run south and pass through the dwarven tunnels until you eventually enter Loch Modan. And in Loch Modan, you'll see a dwarven outpost just off the road as you enter it. Head to the outpost and grab the quests in the defense of the King's Land and the Trog threat. Once you have them, run northeast on the road until you find a path through the mountains southeast. Traverse it and you'll see a bunch of Trogs that we want to start killing here. Now as we kill the Trogs to complete these two quests, you'll notice the scouts are much more scarce, so prioritize killing them, and keep in mind they have bows, so you'll have to run really far away to get the scouts to move, or very close. A lot of these pulls can be tricky, and dealing with 2 or more Trogs will be common in this area, and can easily be deadly as well, so keep your HP full for the tricky pulls and be aware that, like the previous Trogs, these ones like to run too. So remember to hamstring them and position yourself so that they flee to your convenience.
I need to get closer. Not ready yet.
Now once you've completed both of these quests, head back to the road and south to turn them in and accept the next quest in the defense of the King's Lands,
What can I do?
then run back to the Trogs.
How are you?
Now before moving deeper into this area for the next quest, kill the same Trogs you were killing before until you reach level 13. Following this guide, you should be pretty close. The next part of this quest, we will be killing Seers and Skull Thumpers. This is a 4-star quest where if you cannot find a party member, you need to follow a very specific path to complete this, but it's not hard if you know what you're doing. If other people are here doing this quest, group up and head up the mountains straight south and just kill the mobs easy peasy. But if you're stuck doing this quest solo, you need to know that pulling any 2 of the Seers and Skull Thumpers usually means you're gonna die. So we're going to clear west up the trail instead, where we get access to many single pulls of these mobs.
That ability isn't ready.
Clear yourself a nice path through the scouts and the other Trogs so that you can get past them
I'm out of position.
and start aggroing the first Seer on this trail up the mountain here. Once you've aggroed it, just run far enough away that the caster chases you, and then you can run back in and start interrupting it to interrupt the powerful spells it's shooting at you. Just be very wary of their fleeing mechanic here. You have to keep hamstring up and don't let them flee towards more dangerous allies. Now, clearing up this path, you'll find several more solo pulls.
Do that yet. I can't.
And at the top of the hill, you can then curve around into the cave and clear through it.
Not ready yet. Do that yet.
Note that at the end of this cave here, there is a Trog out of your line of sight at the entrance. So while it's tempting to charge straight ahead at the one you can see, Just be in mind there's one right around the corner that you can't see, so just use your trusty crossbow instead and use line of sight to pull it. Clear down the trail here up until the path dips down, and beyond this dip you'll start getting big groups of pulls again, so once you reach here just rotate back and catch the respawns. It's tricky, you've got a very specific path here to clear this solo, but you should be able to avoid double pulls and solo the quest without dying as long as you interrupt and deal with the fleeing mechanic properly. Again, this quest is way easier if you can get a friend to do it with you. Once you've completed it, run back to the tower and turn it in.
Not enough rage.
What's on
Then follow the road north until you reach Thel'samar. Grab the flight path right at the entrance, head to the vendor and repair and mail your herbs to your alts. You should find a blacksmithing vendor as soon as you turn left once you enter Thel'samar. And roaming on the main street through the town, you'll find a dwarf with a few quests. From him, you want to grab the quests Rat Catching and Mountaineer Stormpike's Task. Then head into the inn, which is the first building on the right, and grab the quest Thel'samar Blood Sausages.
well met.
Well met.
Once you've got them, it's time to run out of Thel'samar to the north and start killing all the spiders, all the bears, and all the boars you can see for the cooking reagents needed to complete Thel'samar Blood Sausages while keeping an eye out for herbs. For this cycle, we're not putting a huge priority on completing Thel'samar Blood Sausages yet, as we'll be roaming around the wildlife here a little bit, but put priority on herbalism and make your way north along the road until you reach Dun Algaz station.
Do that yet.
Once you get there, head into the Dwarven Tower and turn in Mountaineer Stormpike's Task and Stormpike's Delivery. Accept from him the quest Filthy Paws and the follow-up Stormpike's Order. You can vendor a bit at the bottom of the tower, but do not vendor the quest reagents for Thel'samar Blood Sausages.
Very good. Off with you. How are you?
Once you've done everything you need to at this tower, head east from the tower until you reach the Kobold outpost around the Silver Stream mine. Start clearing the kobolds here cautiously. The ones outside come in packs of 2 and the ones inside are packed together real tight and a little bit more powerful than the ones outside. Even the quest here recommends you do this quest as a group, and I do as well, but it is possible to get into the mine and do both quests without dying by yourself. Our goal here is to collect the kobold ears for rat catching and find 4 crates inside the mine to complete Filthy Paws. If you are by yourself, I don't recommend clearing too far into the mine unless there are other people around. Just stick to the entrance and wait for the crates around the first corridors to respawn until the quest is complete. The kobolds will easily aggro in packs of 2 and 3 and you'll be forced to kill and kite or pop potions. Do not disrespect this mine or you'll find yourself looking at a gray screen a lot in here. Once you get both quests complete, run out of the area and just start killing the wildlife again as you make your way back to Dun Morog's tower and turn in the Filthy Paws quest. Then we'll be on our last roam of the wildlife, so it's time to finish off Thel'samar blood sausages. And once you get all the stuff you need, keep on grinding here a little bit to make sure you get really close to level 14 if you aren't already level 14, so that the turn in for the next 2 quests ding you. Then head back to turn in rat catching on the road in Thel'samar.
Great to meet you. Safe travels.
And then inside the inn, turn in Thel'samar blood sausages.
How are you?
You should be able to learn the recipe or be close to learning it. You should also make sure you're around 50 herbalism now, at least 50 cooking, and at least 50 first aid. Clear your bags, mail your herbs, and then hearth to Ironforge. We're essentially just hearthing here to train our level 14 skills, so if your class's 14 skills aren't that important, you can skip the hearthing step here. In Ironforge, as a warrior, just head to the military ward where we will train our level 14 abilities. It's a good opportunity to train herbalism and first aid as well if you haven't ranked them up yet. Both trainers are near the flight path. Also note that the two-handed axe and two-handed mace weapon trainer is just south of the entrance to where we learn our warrior skills. So if you have an abundance of silver, you can train those now, but you don't need it just yet. You'll have another opportunity to train them in a little bit.
Great to meet you. Hello.
Now, once you've done everything you need to here in Ironforge, fly back to Thel'samar. Once you land in Thel'samar, we need to make a judgment call of how crowded Loch Modan is. There are 2 timed kill quests that we want to do really quick for easy experience and a weapon upgrade, but they're hard if all the mobs we need are dead. Luckily, people usually are eager to group for these quests given their nature, but failing the quests is a huge waste of time. If you feel you can handle it, then go ahead and do it. We'll run southeast around the lake first, and then run east through the beasts far towards the eastern mountain. You'll eventually find a path that leads up to the Hunter's Lodge, and in it, on the southern side of the lodge, you'll be able to accept the quest, A Hunter's Boast. He'll ask you to kill some vultures in 15 minutes. You'll find most of the vultures you need either just north of the lodge or just south of the lodge. The time should be more than enough as long as the vultures are not being over-farmed. Just pull them cautiously one at a time and utilize the new Demoralizing Shout ability you just got to minimize incoming damage and your downtime. Once you kill the vultures, rush back to the lodge and prepare for the harder follow-up, A Hunter's Challenge.
Hello. Have a good one.
As soon as you turn in the quest, start running north out of the lodge. This time we've got 12 minutes to kill some level 17, level 16 boars. Again, this is doable as long as they aren't over-farmed, and if you see someone else doing the quest, make sure to invite them to your group so you don't get screwed out of the timer. We're going to make our way past the vultures to the north and start finding these boars mixed in with the black bears in the northern section. Most of the spawns are quite a ways away and surrounded by the bears, so try to minimize the amount of bears you need to kill by pulling smart. And keep your HP up, as these boars and bears can outright kill you if you get some unlucky parry strings or dodge strings. Group up if possible, as I said, but it shouldn't be too difficult. And again, if you can't group and the place is crowded, just skip these quests. Once you've got all the boars you need, run back quickly in time and turn it in to get a new one-hander with some agi and ATPS.
You need something?
Once you've done these two quests, don't bother with the others. We're going to suicide to the wildlife here, and we're going to spirit res back to Thel'samar. Now it's time for us to head to Darkshore. But before we head out, clear up your bags, vendor, restock, repair, mail your herbs, all that good stuff. And then run north on the road towards Dun Morogh station. This time we'll go through the northern tunnel into the wetlands. But the moment the tunnel opens up into a cliff, jump off the cliff to your death and spirit res to get half the run done instantly in wetlands. And then follow the road further west towards Menethil Harbor. As you make this trek, you'll likely aggro 1 to 2 crocodiles or raptors and die again until your res sickness wears off, after which you can survive aggro with a good hamstring and defensive stance. But because of the nature of the run, you'll likely die once or twice anyway, so the spirit res will still ultimately save you time. Now you might be wondering why we're doing this long ass run so early. Anytime you have to travel, you'll feel as though it slows down your XP. But think of it rather that every character eventually has to make these journeys. If not now, you'll need to do this later anyway. Doing this run early just allows us to capitalize on the abundance of lobby quests in Darkshore, Loch Modan, and Westfall. As for Alliance, Darkshore is by far the most effective leveling zone for levels 12 to 20, so we don't want to skip it. Another thing to note is reputation. We want to think long term when we get to max level. A lot of these lobby quests give good reputation that is reduced to 20% of its normal reputation gains if you do it when the quest is grey. So it's a good idea to spread out your questing path to grab as many lobby quests as you can, so that it's much easier to hit higher reputations with these factions when you do eventually hit max level. So yeah, don't feel bad about making this run early. You're not wasting time. Everybody's got to do this. Once you reach Menethil Harbor, do not forget to grab the flight path or you will hate yourself forever. Then hop on the north side of the docks and wait for the boat to arrive. Once the boat gets here, get on the boat and we're going to be sailing to Auberdine in Darkshore on Kalimdor continent. When you finally arrive in Darkshore, run down the pier until you see a quest giver and accept the quest for Love Eternal. Then head to the second floor of the building at the end of the pier in the inn to get the quest Buzzbox 827. Then run north out of the inn and do a nice loop around Auberdine, and make sure you grab the quests Bashal'Aran and Tools of the Highborn and Strider Stew from inside the main northern lodge. Then in the eastern building grab How Big a Threat and Plagued Lands, and outside towards the middle grab the Red Crystal. Lastly, head back south up onto the wooden platform just outside the inn and grab the flight path as well as the quest Washed Ashore. And then it's go time, baby! Jump off the platform to the south and on the beach start massacring crawlers for their crawler legs. If you're playing on a fresh server, you'll find that this place is likely crowded all to hell, even if you've been fast thus far. Additionally, this is a loot drop quest, so grouping up doesn't really do anything for you to speed it up. If this is the case, I recommend you skip this Buzzbox quest and all subsequent Buzzbox quests. They are all loot-based quests, and the third of them is awful. It's absolutely terrible. For this 1 to 60 recording, trying to do these Buzzbox quests is one of the major mistakes I made that wasted a ton of time for me. So again, skip it if you can't find the crabs. Instead, just head south on the beach until you find the beached sea creature for the quest Washed Ashore. Clear around the creature and be wary that these murlocs are runners. Also take note that we want to start collecting murloc eyes, so if they drop any, it's important you remember not to vendor them. Don't be shy about killing a few extra murlocs for this purpose. Once the two quests are complete, you can run and turn in the Buzzbox quest at the base of the wooden platform and turn in Washed Ashore atop the wooden platform and grab the follow-up. Then we're going to run straight east out of Auberdine, making your way around the Moonkin to the eastmost mountain. As you run through the wilderness here, you want to prioritize killing striders for strider meat. Again, note that the meat they drop is not a quest item, so be careful not to vendor it. We also want to start working on herbalism fiercely. By the end of Darkshore, your goal is to hit 70 or almost 70 herbalism, so you'll likely find yourself going out of your way a lot now to grab herbs. We want 70 ASAP to unlock Briarthorn, as Briarthorn is one of the most important herbs for leveling alchemy. Once you do get to the eastern mountains, head to the point on the map where the red crystal is, and get close enough to complete the quest to the red crystal. Be wary here, the raging moonkins do a lot of damage, so if you aggro too, it could spell your death. So just get the quest done and get out and use hamstring to make sure they don't kill you. And start heading north towards Bashal'Aran. When you arrive in Bashal'Aran, make your way up the hill on the northwestern side to the Night Elf structure, giving the big glowy light. Once you get close enough to it, you'll complete the quest and be able to talk to the NPC. Turn in the quest and take the follow-up, which asks you to kill the Grell in the nearby ruins for their earring. You shouldn't have much difficulty finding and killing them around Bashal'Aran. You outlevel these mobs pretty significantly, so go nuts. Once you get all 8 earrings, run back to the quest NPC to turn it in for the follow-up. The next part of the quest asks you to kill Deathrill Satyr. They're much less abundant, but roam around the same area, so keep killing Grell to get access to the Satyr until they drop the ancient Moonstone seal you need for the quest. Once you get it, turn in the quest for the follow-up and then head north out of Bashal'Aran. What we're doing here now is looking for a rabid thistlebear in the wilderness. Once you find one, aggro it and utilize the Red Orb quest item you got for the quest Plagued Lands to capture the thistlebear. I've had this trap bug once on me before, but it seems to always work as long as you use it in combat with the bear before you put it down. If the quest does mess up and you're not able to capture the thistle bear, don't worry, you'll have another chance to do it on the next cycle. Like I do, just abandon the quest here and re-accept it as we're running into Auberdine next, and then grab a thistle bear on your way back from the next circuit. Once you've got your pet snookums, run back to Auberdine. In Auberdine, turn in Plagued Lands for the quest Cleansing the Infected, and then turn in the quest The Red Crystal, which will give you a vial to fill. Run to the nearby Moonwell in Auberdine to fill the vial. Then run east back out of Auberdine, back to the Red Crystal on the eastern mountain. This time around, we'll need to kill the Moonkin around the crystal so we can interact with it, but we should also be level 15 now, or very close to level 15, so no big deal. Use Hamstring if you need to until you can safely kill all the Raging Moonkin and interact with the crystal to turn in the quest and accept the fragments within. Next, we're going to clear south and southwest back towards the road, killing striders, looting herbs along the way, until you reach the road east of Mauradon. What we're looking for here is a kneeling sentinel, so we can grab the quest from her, The Fall of Mauradon. Once we've got it, run east into the Mauradon ruins, where we'll begin working on Tools of the Highborn, Bashal'Aran for Love Eternal, and the Fall of Mauradon. 4 quests we need to do here. Firstly, all of the ghosts here drop the Highborn relics to complete Tools of the Highborn, so kill them willy-nilly. Just be aware of their mist debuff they like to apply, and interrupt it whenever they try to put it on you. While you are killing the ghosts around here, you want to keep an eye out for a night elf ghost named Anaya Dawnrunner. She appears as neutral, so it's easier to spot her nameplate if you have nameplates turned on. She will drop the quest item for Love Eternal. She roams around the entire area though, and has roughly a 5-minute respawn timer. If the area is heavily contested, you should group up to kill her. Otherwise, pick her off at your earliest convenience while we work on the other quests. Start by heading southeast from the road and interact with the first tablet for the quest The Fall of Mauradon. Then, north of the tablet a bit, you'll find a Night Elf gazebo with a flame in it. Clear to the flame and interact with the flame to complete the Bashal'Aran quest. Lastly, clear northeast towards the second tablet laying on its side next to another Night Elf gazebo. Interact to complete the Fall of Mauradon. Once those 2 quests are done, all that's left for you is to kill ghosts until you finish Tools of the Highborn and kill Anaya Dawnrunner for Love Eternal. Once you finish all 4 of these quests, run west back to the road to turn in the Fall of Mauradon. And then we're going to run northwest off the road a little bit and skirt yourself up as close as possible to the Furbolg camps here. You should be able to get quest credit for How Big a Threat without actually aggroing any of the Furbolgs if you are checking towards the northern end of their camps. Once you get the quest completed, it's time to head back to Auberdine. In Auberdine, first turn in How Big a Threat in the Lodge for the follow-up quests as well as the next quest, Thunderous Windweaver. Then cross the bridge and turn in the Fragments Within from the Red Crystal. And then run north into the main building and turn in Tools of the Highborn and Thunderous Windweaver for the quest The Cliff Spring River. And turn in Strider's Stew if you've already got it done. You can run just outside to vendor and repair and clean up your bags at the dwarves, but remember to keep the Murloc eyes. And then outside the inn, mail your herbs. Lastly, go back up onto the pier from the inn to turn in for Love Eternal. But once it's turned in, keep running down the pier here. We want to jump into the water right about where the boat from Menethil dropped us off when we first got here. And we're going to start swimming southwest towards the big turtle skeleton underwater. Once we get to the big turtle skeleton, loot his head for the quest Washed Ashore. If the head is not there, just give it a few minutes and it will eventually respawn. Now, if there's a lot of people going for this head, this is one of the few quests where I would still recommend you try and grab it, because completing Washed Ashore unlocks a ton of quests in Darkshore. So we really want to make sure we get these two prerequisite looting dead fish body corpse quests done so we can start doing all the other ones. But once you get the quest item, swim southeast back to the shore and run south towards those Furbolg camps we had just scouted out previously, and then start killing them to complete How Big a Threat. Prioritize pulling the Pathfinders here, and note that the Wind Talkers like to cast Cyclone on you, so keep enough rage to shield bash it. The Pathfinders will only cast Fairy Fire, but it's not a big deal, so don't worry about interrupting that so much. You can handle pulls of 2 if you need to here, but they're spread far enough apart that you should never need to. All in all, it's a pretty easy kill quest, and if the area is crowded, you can easily hop in a group and get it done in a very short amount of time. Once it's finished, run back north to Auberdine, turn in Washed Ashore quest near the flight path, and turn in How Big a Threat. Then, run north out of Auberdine. If you did the first Buzzbox quest, the next part wants you to swim out into the water and kill threshers for their eyes. The drop rate on this one isn't that bad, so it's worth doing if they aren't overfarmed. But again, I'm not a big fan of trying to do these Buzzbox quests if you're playing at a server launch and the mobs are heavily contested. Continue up the shore until you reach a beached thresher. Clear the murlocs around it, and this time you want to actively seek out these extra murloc kills until you have 3 murloc eyes. Just remember, these murlocs like to flee, and the seers will try to heal themselves, so keep shield bash ready for that and keep hamstring on them. Once you've got the murloc eyes, or most of the murlocs dead, loot the creature for its bones, and you can head up the beach until you find the next buzz box to turn in the Threshodon eyes if you did that quest. Now the third buzz box quest is a complete nightmare, and I recommend skipping it if you are in a party or if there is even a single other person trying to do this quest. I regret completing it in this run, as it took me like 30 to 45 minutes of killing Moonstalkers for their fangs, and I still didn't even get it done on this cycle. The drop rate for the Moonstalker's fangs is horrendous, and there's only about 12 spawns of them. Regardless, head east to the road and cross it into the wilds. Our goals here are to get Herbalism to 70, to kill 20 rabid thistlebears for cleansing the infected, and collect 6 Moonstalker fangs if for some god-awful reason you decide to do this quest. The thistlebears are very easy to find, and you can group up for them even. They put on an annoying disease on you that makes bandaging pretty useless, and 20 is a lot to kill, so free feel to group for it. Use the herb node as a guide on which direction you want to grind bears towards. You'll also want to kill striders around here for meat if you haven't got the strider stew done yet. This is the last of this Darkshore cycle, so it's your last chance to get the strider stew quest done. If you decide to go for the buzzbox quest and hate yourself, prioritize the Moonstalkers over the thistlebears and take note of all of their spawn points and farm them endlessly until your fingers bleed and the quest completes. Again, I recommend skipping this, even though it has a follow-up, we'll have to skip as well. I do those quests in this guide, but I regretted wasting so much time on it. Once all are done, head to the bridge on the river. On the east side of the bridge is the buzz box to turn in the fangs for the follow-up. Then drop down into the river at the waterfall just under the bridge and use the vial for the Cliff Spring River to complete that quest as well. Next, start trekking back towards Auberdine, but on your way back, run south of the road into Bashal'Aran back to that big glowing Night Elf gazebo and turn in the quest Bashal'Aran. Now, if for some reason you are not level 16 yet, or not within 2 bars of it, go and grind north of Bashal'Aran on the wildlife until you ding. Also make sure your herbalism hits level 70 by now. Again, it's very important we hit 70 herbalism as soon as possible to get access to Briarthorn, as we need a massive amount of Briarthorn for leveling alchemy. If you are not 70 yet, you really need to up your flower game. Once you've got those requirements though, return to Auberdine and turn in Cleansing the Infected, the Cliff Spring River, and Strider Stew if you haven't already.
What brings you here? I will be with you. Ishnuala. Go in peace.
Also turn in the beached sea creature near the flight path. Don't take any of the follow-ups at this time. Clear your bags, prepare, mail your herbs, and then we will be hearthing back to Ironforge. And that's the end of part 2. Doing good so far, guys. See you guys in Ironforge for the next part. I am booping out. Boop.